Good morning. One evening, I sat at a small cafe with a friend. The air was cool, and the muffled chatter of other patrons drifted through the room as we lost ourselves in a deep, meaningful conversation. My friend looked troubled, burdened by something invisible, yet heavy. It wasn't a physical weight, but it was pressing on him nonetheless. He had been carrying this load for weeks, and it only seemed to grow heavier as time passed. It wasn't a burden of his own choosing, but rather a responsibility that had been thrust upon him. I don't know what to do, he said, frustration and disappointment in his voice. I promise to help, but every day it feels more like something I have to do, rather than something I want to do. Am I wrong for feeling this way? I could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the pressure, the guilt, the sense of responsibility. Each one seemed to weigh him down. He was trapped in a web of expectations that weren't his own and didn't know how to escape. His question wasn't unique. We all find ourselves in this position at some point. Burdened with obligations we never chose, responsible for things that feel more like a heavy burden than a genuine commitment. Society, family, friends, they all place their expectations on us, often without regard for whether these responsibilities align with our own desires and goals. They define our lives based on their needs, their wants, and their demands. His question was simple, yet profound. Do I have an obligation to fulfill commitments I didn't choose? Rather than giving him a straightforward answer, I decided to ask him something else, something that would help him look at the situation from a different angle, something that would force him to look within himself for the answer. I leaned forward and asked, if you had the choice, would you willingly take on this responsibility? Would you make this promise if you weren't afraid of disappointing anyone? If you weren't influenced by guilt or pressure? He stared at me for a moment, a mix of confusion and sudden realization in his eyes. It didn't take long before he answered with a simple, no. And in that moment, it became clear to me. We owe nothing to anyone except ourselves. We live in a world that constantly pressures us to put others first, to sacrifice our own needs, our own desires, our own happiness for the sake of others. We are told to be selfless, to serve, to help, regardless of how much it might harm us in the process. But in doing so, we often forget the most important relationship we have, the relationship with ourselves. We forget that our own well-being, our own desires, our own growth, and our own happiness should be the foundation of our lives. Think about it for a moment. Every promise you make, every obligation you take on, should be a decision made from your own free will, not something thrust upon you. It's not about helping others or being there for them. It's about choosing to do so because you genuinely want to. The moment you do something because you want to, not because you have to, that's when you discover your true freedom. And here lies the key. If you take on commitments that aren't your own choice, but rather stem from guilt or pressure, then you're not really taking responsibility. You're being controlled by the expectations of others. This burden you carry will eventually lead to resentment, exhaustion, and the feeling of being disconnected from yourself. The real key to freedom, to living authentically, lies in this realization. You are the master of your own life. No one can place their wants and expectations on you without your consent, your time, your energy, your resources. They belong to you. They should not be drained away because of guilt or societal pressure. I looked at my friend and said, you owe no one anything. You owe yourself the life that fits you, not the life someone else has planned for you. The moment you free yourself from obligations that aren't your own is the moment you take your life back. The next morning, I received a message from him. He had spoken with the person involved, explained his feelings, and chosen to let go of a commitment that no longer served him. He had decided to honor himself, to prioritize his own well-being and satisfaction, and the relief in his message was palpable. The truth is, we all face moments when we have to decide between the expectations of others and our own needs. But if you ask yourself, would I willingly take on this commitment if it were entirely up to me? Then the path to true freedom becomes clear. It's not about being selfish. It's about making choices that align with your own values and goals. Your life is yours. Don't let guilt or the pressure of others dictate your decisions. You are the only one who knows what's best for you. Choose wisely, and always remember, you owe nothing to anyone except yourself.